who's this session for? Again, we've learned about a lot of really different things today, but essentially, this is really for online ESL teachers who want to increase their hourly rates, which I know we all do, and specialize in a niche of test prep. So IELTS is the main one. There's lots of other test prep niches that you can cover as well, but IELTS is the main one. So I will cover that, but I'll also talk about other ones a little bit as well. A lot of teachers as well who found it hard to adapt their business. They want to expand, they want to go into different areas, they want to try different things, but for whatever reason, they haven't been able to, or they haven't been quite sure how to do that. Also, some teachers might need help getting started in this journey. I want to do this, but where do I begin? I get that question a lot from teachers, so I'll help explain that for you. Who needs specialized support, resources, and a community as well. It's really important, like we have today, having that community, people you can talk to, people you can bounce ideas off, and get that support as well. So again, the guide will help you with that, and I can help you with that too. Who wants to teach less? Hopefully all of us. Earn more? Hopefully all of us. Go beyond one-to-one teaching, transition to smaller groups, bigger groups, and build a business. That's what I want to talk to you about today. It was a journey for me, but I was able to do that successfully, and I'll share some of that with you as we go through the session. So we're going to talk about a few different things here. I'm going to talk about the state of the market and why test prep is in demand so much right now. It is growing all the time, which is fantastic news for us. How to identify your target audience. It's not really that easy to just go out and say, hey, I teach test prep. Well, we need to be a little bit more strategic about that. So I'll talk to you about some ways we can do that. I've got a really simple 3-step process, which I'll walk you through. The importance of mastering the content. Again, you'll see a lot of people in this field, but a lot of people aren't really specialized or not really expert in the field. They're more generalists, and we want to be able to stand out from that crowd, which is what I'll cover with you. Key components of the curriculum. What do I need to have in my curriculum? It can seem quite overwhelming, quite daunting, but I'll talk to you a little bit about that as well. How to market yourself and build the business. Again, this is really key to being successful with a test prep niche. Again, there's lots of different options. So if you can market yourself successfully, then you'll be very successful in attracting students, building up that business, and being successful in this field. As I mentioned, I'll talk to you about the 3-step process for converting prospects into students. That's tricky, it's not easy, but I'll talk to you about how I've done that. And then also the setup guide. So the QR code is there. I will also share the link at the end of the session, so you can just download that and start getting involved and getting into that. All right. So I always say this every time I deliver anything, even when I'm speaking to my clients, to my students. Write things down, have a pen and paper. It's much easier for you to come back and reflect and think about what you need to do. So I always say to write things down, and then it's also easier to ask questions, etc. as well. All right, let's get into it. So the current state of the market right now, from my research, from what I've seen doing this for the last 2 or 3 years, as an actual business, there is a huge surge in demand, and for good reason. A lot of students, probably more than ever, are seeking admission to top universities. They want to get into competitive programs. They need to stand out from others, and they need to be more competitive. As a result, high quality test preparation has never been greater. So a lot of clients, a lot of students I work with, I need this score for this university, or I need to get a little bit higher actually, or I want to be at this level. So there's lots of different ways you can approach this, but currently the demand is really, really big. And there's different ways that we can try to harness that positively for us. According to some recent data, the test preparation market is expected to grow at a rate of about 7.6% between now and 2026. So over the next 3 years, projected growth of 7% a year, 7% more potential students, potential clients that you can work with, which is great. And it's a really good time to get involved in. And as a result, again, there's never been a better time to enter the market and capitalize on this, because again, more and more I find more people coming to me, wanting to work with me, wanting help, guidance, and assistance. And there's lots of students out there. So there's no danger, and there's no real huge problem with getting involved in this and trying this. All right. So which test should I choose? Again, a lot of teachers that I talk to, a lot of different teachers I work with, they generally ask me, should I teach IELTS, CELPIP, TOEFL, Duolingo, that's this logo here, Pearson PT, Cambridge? There's lots of different tests. Now, as always, it's always a good idea to research and think about what you would like to focus on. IELTS is the main one that generally we've heard of, the most internationally recognized one, but we also have CELPIP as well, where I am in Canada, which is quite a big test as well. A lot of people try to teach this, but again, they lack, the real knowledge, and they don't really take the time to become expert in this. TOEFL as well is huge. That's widely accepted for a lot of different fields as well. Duolingo is more the university level, the college level for students. A lot of places do accept this. And Pearson as well, depending on where students want to apply, this is generally accepted by a lot of universities, either in the UK or the US. And then the Cambridge assessment as well. This can be accepted depending on the institution. So think about where you are in terms of your location. Think about the kinds of students that you want to work with. Have a look, do a little bit of research and find out what works best for you. You can really specialize in these because IELTS is pretty competitive in terms of the amount of teachers out there. It doesn't mean you can't be successful, but when it comes to the other tests and the other types of tests, you can definitely carve out a niche in those fields because there isn't that much competition right now. And provided it's done well, you can be really successful with this. So some things to bear in mind there. Okay, so who am I going to target? Who's my target audience going to be? Well, you've got to think about three main things, and they are age, education level, and language proficiency. So if you can really think about who you want to focus on, then you can be successful in trying to market and to, communicate to this audience. So age, is it high school students or is it adults? You've got to think about that. A lot of high school students actually do need to do IELTS. They do need to think about that. Parents in most markets are thinking about that as well. So you might have to tweak your marketing as a result. Or is it adults who are maybe doing master's degrees, PhDs? I've worked a lot with that group, and they also need that as well. So think about who in terms of age. Education level. Are you looking at those who are doing bachelor's degrees in different countries? Are you looking at those who are doing master's degrees, PhDs? Are you looking at those who just need general English? So think about the education level that you're focusing on. And then also language proficiency. This is also really important because some clients who come to me, they say, I need an IELTS 5 or a 6 or a 7 or an 8, even a 9. So think about what levels you'd like to focus on. Generally, 7 is the level that most people need to achieve. But again, if you're very, very, thoughtful in the way you approach the market and approach the students, you might specialize in 6, or you might specialize in 8 or above, because there is a market for that, there is a field for that. And by understanding your target audience and tailoring the services, then you can increase your chances of success. If you just start off by saying, I teach IELTS, great. There's thousands of other people who do that. I teach IELTS and I specifically focus on students applying to universities in the US who need a 7 or above. Wow, you've really narrowed it down, and you've still got a very, very big market, a big pool that you can then communicate to and think about when you build that niche and build that target. And this is something that, again, if you need help with, I'll be happy to talk to you about as well. So one important consideration here, moving from general English to a specific test prep niche, you need to stay up to date, and you need to try to learn about the format, learn about the test, the contents, how to approach it, how students should approach the test. So this means constantly refining, reviewing, looking at materials, making sure they're up to date, making sure they're relevant. There's nothing worse than students who come to you who are not fully prepared, who face surprises when they take the test, who are expecting one thing but get another thing. So it's really important to do this, and by doing this, you're going to set yourself apart and be a much more attractive proposition for a client or a student who will be prepared to pay, a really high amount of money to be successful in this test. One key strategy as well, ongoing training and development for you. There's lots of different things you can do to help you be more proficient and more confident teaching test prep. So when it's things like IELTS, there are courses and programs available that are run by the British Council or run by IDP. And again, depending on what you want to specialize in, there are lots of training and webinars available. There isn't a great deal for certain tests, but you can definitely do your research to help you stand out from the crowd as well. And again, by staying informed and continually improving your skills, you'll be better equipped. You'll be better able to help students succeed. You can then set yourself apart as an expert. Instead of being a general English teacher or a general teacher who teaches a little bit of this and a little bit of that. No, this is what I do. this is what I exceed in, this is what I'm an expert in, and that should help you a lot as well. So demand is different in different countries. Just got a comment here, which is true. But if you're able to understand that market and understand their needs, then the world's your oyster, and you have lots and lots of different potential countries that you can market to as well. We don't just have to stick to one specific country. We can apply and appeal to many different countries. All right. Let's move on. So how do we stand out in a crowded market? Because, you might think on the surface, there's lots of competition in this field. There's lots of people doing this. Well, with the right strategies and with the right approach, you can definitely, get students, attract new students, and have a thriving business. Again, it does take time, but provided you approach it in the right way, you can definitely be successful with this. One really good tactic is to establish yourself as an expert in the field. A lot of people say, I'm an expert. A lot of people say, I'm very knowledgeable in this, but they don't really have anything to back it up. So you can say, I'm an expert because I've taken the test, I've scored band 9s, or, I've done the training, I've done the certification. This might involve a little bit of investment on your side, but by having that, you're going to instill confidence and instill, a real, demeanor of, knowledge, power, and expertise, which is what a student wants, who's going to invest, in your program or in what you teach. So this is really, really important. And if you can support that and get the results and then start using those as proof, then again, it's a really good starting point. Another key strategy is to leverage online and offline marketing channels to reach a target audience. So this could be targeted advertising on social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Now, initially starting out, you want to try to do this organically, but as you grow and as you go through, you can start experimenting with very small budgets and pushing things out so that you can appeal to the right audience and really specify, who you want to teach and how you're going to help them. As well, industry events, networking. It's really important, events like this where you can, promote what you do, show how you're an expert. Things I've done as well in the past are attending different events for IELTS students, working with different educational partners around the world to advertise, what I can do to help them. And it's a really great way to get your foot in the door and get yourself established in all those different markets. By building these relationships, can create a loyal following of students and advocates who will help spread the word. Word of mouth is fantastic. If a student has a good experience with you, they enjoy learning with you, they generally spread the word, especially in different industries. Not by design, but I ended up, a few years ago when I started, I worked with a couple of nurses who were moving to the US. That then spread out to 5 nurses, to 10 nurses, to 20 nurses. And then that was an area that I was able to get into without even realizing. And because of that initial starting point and that networking, it built and it grew like that. So there's lots of potential, there's lots of opportunity in this field for sure. Now, this is the exciting part. Okay, how do I do this? This sounds good. This sounds interesting. I want to know more, but how do I do this? Well, we've got to convert those initial students and we've got to convert them into hopefully paying students or into paying clients in the end. So there's a 3-step process which I use, again, which is pretty common. I'm sure you've seen something like this. It's a little bit of a tweak, but again, building rapport, identifying needs, making a compelling offer. That's really, really key. If you can build rapport, build trust, build authority, build expertise, and be that go-to person initially, then you can identify the needs and say, I can help you with ABC, which is going to help you do X, Y, and Z. Then you can make your compelling offer to them. This is how I can help you. I can, provide this program, or I can provide this support or this training, which is going to help you go from A to B in 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. And here's how we're going to do it. Amazing. I'm in. I need this. So building rapport involves establishing a connection. Show genuine interest in their goals. Try to get to know them. And it's great when you work with students from lots of different countries, because then you can utilize that and use that as a starting point to help you build knowledge of that market and build relationships in that market as well. Goals and aspirations generally will be university entry or moving to a new country or immigrating to a new country. So those are generally the main things. So if you can promote yourself and market yourself based on that, that will really help you as well. Understanding those pain points, those challenges. Okay, how can I build an effective plan? How can I ensure success? How can I make sure I get the results? And then offering solutions that address those needs. So generally that will be through your program, through your curriculum, through your training as well. So here are the steps. So we start off with the social media channels to initially build rapport and to meet our students. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, these are all common ways to start. Again, building and getting interest in what you do. Then we can then convert those into a WhatsApp group, a WeChat group, or bookings through ads, which I mentioned earlier. A great way to have a much more detailed, intimate conversation with a group. So I started this with about 2,000 or so students in my Facebook group. We then had a daily WhatsApp group where they joined that. They're all involved, engaging. We give daily tasks and daily challenges for them to do. And then we'll start then having meetings and arranging programs for them based on that and converting them from there as well. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. This is just a method that I use. And then we can go from those very high-paying one-to-one students. We can then have 2-to-1 students, 3-to-1 students. So we're going beyond just the old school general ESL one-to-one. Then we have bigger groups as well, digital courses, licensing, training, all those things here. So there's lots and lots of opportunities. From this method, I've been able now to establish myself in different markets like China, like Vietnam, Korea as well, through this method. And then again, word of mouth and promotion, a little bit of that in the right balance. You go from general ESL teacher, maybe making $20 an hour, to expert test prep teacher making $50, $100, $150 an hour, depending on how you have it set up. So this is my approach. Again, I will share this with you in the PDF guide that I've created for you. So I'm going to share that with you. It's the test prep business setup guide. Learn not just what to teach, but how to teach, how to build your business, how to transition from general English to test prep, and how to build your income in this area as well. So I will share that with you. I'm going to just drop the link in the chat here. You can just click through and then you can download that as well. Yep, no problem. My pleasure. So again, there's a lot of things where we can talk about how to build your business, craft your test prep niche, building your branding, your messaging, the steps that I talked about as well. They're also covered in the guide, and how to build that successful, sustainable business as well, and transition away from one-to-one and general English teaching.